Okay, so we are starting today by looking at RNA, which is obviously another type of nucleic acid. It is similar to DNA, but it's different in a couple of ways. So we're going to start off by looking at the structure of RNA. So RNA structure is a polymer, just like all nucleic acids are. And its basic unit, its monomer that makes it up, is a nucleotide, just like DNA. And so that nucleotide has three parts to it, just again like DNA did. It has a sugar. Now this one is called ribose instead of deoxyribose, so that's why RNA begins with an R and not a D. It also has that phosphate group, that PO4, and it has that nitrogenous base. Now again, just like in DNA, that nitrogenous base is what makes it different, which makes each nucleotide different from one another. And there's also some differences here in the nitrogenous bases. In RNA, we have adenine, which is the same. We have guanine, which again is also found in DNA, as well as cytosine. But the fourth base is different. This one is not found in DNA, and that is uracil. It is going to replace thymine, and so when you are actually pairing up RNA with DNA, if you have an A instead of having a T that pairs up with it in RNA, you will have a U. Now, keep in mind that if you have a T in DNA, you still will have an A that pairs up with that because RNA does use adenine. So let's take a couple minutes here and kind of compare and contrast some of the differences here. We just highlighted one, but there are others between DNA and RNA. Okay, so the first one here is that DNA has deoxyribose sugar, whereas RNA has ribose sugar. DNA is double-stranded. There are two strands that are paired up, whereas RNA is actually always single-stranded, so it looks a lot different. The bases that are found in DNA are adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine, or ACGT, whereas in RNA we have adenine, cytosine, guanine, and uracil, so ACGU. DNA is found only in the nucleus of the cell. Because again, we're looking at eukaryotic cells in this process here, whereas RNA, it's not only found in the nucleus. We find it both inside and outside of the nucleus. Now, where we find RNA is actually going to depend on what type of RNA it is, because unlike DNA, we actually have more than one type of RNA. DNA is just DNA, and that's all it is, but RNA is different in the cell, and the types are classified based on their role or their job or their function in a process that we are looking at or starting to look at called protein synthesis. The reason why that we have these different types is because RNA actually controls the making of the proteins, and what they do is they put together the amino acids that make up a protein. So remember, proteins are polymers of amino acids. And so what the RNA does is it actually puts together those amino acids in the specific order to make their protein. And we have three different types of RNA. We have messenger RNA, we have ribosomal RNA, and we have transfer RNA. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the three different types, kind of talk a little bit about kind of where we find them and what they do, and then we'll summarize things with our concept map, our graphic organizer about RNA. So the first type of RNA we're going to look at here is messenger RNA, and messenger RNA is often abbreviated with a little m in front of RNA, and that stands for specifically messenger RNA. Its job is to read the message from the DNA in the nucleus. So it actually will partner up with DNA. It will kind of match up its code, and we will talk about that in another video. But it reads the message from the RNA, and it takes that message out to the ribosome. Remember, the ribosome is that site of protein synthesis. Now, the message that it carries is actually made up of three letter words, so to speak. So every three bases, so you've got your sequence of A's, C's, G's, and U's. Every three bases is called a codon, and each codon, each set of three letters, codes for a specific amino acid in the sequence. And we'll be working more with codons, like I said, a little later. The second type of RNA is called transfer RNA, or tRNA. This is actually a picture of it down here, just like we had the picture of messenger RNA down on the other slide. One of the kind of easy ways to remember it is transfer RNA almost kind of looks like a letter T. All right, and what's interesting here is not only does it have, the bases here, but it also has this little ball here, and its job is to transfer the amino acid to the ribosome so that it can be hooked on to that growing chain of amino acids and folded into the protein. Now, these three bases down here at the bottom, these are what we call the anticodon. So this amino acid is carried by the transfer RNA, and the specific amino acid that it carries depends on this anticodon. So each transfer RNA can carry a different amino acid and have a different anticodon. Now this anticodon is actually what is going to match up with the messenger RNA so that we make sure that we get the amino acids in the proper sequence. And again, you'll see that as we go through the process, so it's okay if you don't see the whole picture just yet. The last type of RNA that we have here is what we call ribosomal RNA, or rRNA. This is the RNA that actually makes up parts of the ribosome. So you can see here the ribosome is actually made up of two parts, and embedded inside that as part of that is some RNA. Its job is to help catalyze or speed up the assembly of the amino acids so that we can put together the amino acids very quickly and assemble that protein very, very quickly. It also helps to position the mRNA and the tRNA properly. So it actually helps to bring them together and match them up so that the amino acid can get pulled off of that transfer RNA. Lastly, it's going to fold the assembling protein into its proper shape. Because as we know with certain things like enzymes, the shape of that protein is really important. So at this point, let's kind of summarize here. It is important that you understand the roles of these different types of RNA. So we're going to take a look here at the concept map. All right, so we have RNA, and we have three different types of RNA. We have our messenger RNA, we have our ribosomal RNA, and we have our transfer RNA. Remember, messenger RNA is often also called mRNA, and its job is to carry the instructions from the DNA to the ribosome. Ribosomal RNA is also called rRNA, and its job is to combine with proteins to make up the ribosome. The last one is transfer RNA, which is called tRNA, and its job is to bring the amino acids to the ribosome. So now that we know the different types of RNA that are present, in the next video we're actually going to talk about how these work together in the process of protein synthesis.